Hi there, I'm Eric Wyrd Sjerven, Goalie of the Redgar Folk here in East Texas, and I'd like to welcome you to The Raven's Call. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, just kind of whatever strikes my fancy at the time, whatever sets my mind on fire. And big UPG warning at the beginning of this. This is just how I see the world. This is not reflective necessarily of heathenry in general. It's not even necessarily reflective of the rest of my tribe. They may see things differently than I do in some respects, but this is an outlet for me to kind of share my viewpoints on heathenry and how the world works, okay? So, if you guys like what you see, give it the old thumbs up down below. That definitely helps keeping the videos out there for other people to see, as well as, helping to aggregate new ones on your feed. Hit subscribe, ding the bell. The more you interact with my videos, the more videos like them you will see on your feed, okay? All of my contact information is down below. That's email, Twitter, Saraha, the Facebook group. The big one is the Facebook group. Catch that one. I don't accept friend requests for the most part from people from the YouTube channel unless I know you and have interacted with you. For the most part, you send me a friend request, it's going to sit in limbo forever because I'm hoping to see your name pop up on the group list, because that's where I do my interaction with the fan base, and this just keeps the separation between the two. Anyway, talked about that before. Onwards and forwards. Today we're going to go into this actually is a play out from some of that contact information that I mentioned before. I do a lot of like viewer request type videos, or some of the ideas that I get for videos are born from conversations I've had either with friends during my park moots, or emails, messages back and forth on Facebook, comments on the YouTube channel. All of these things feed into my idea kind of well that I pull from to do these videos. And today's video is something that I've touched on in broad strokes, but I realized that when they pointed this out, I haven't done a dedicated video on. And I guess part of it is because I just assume that everybody gets it, and that's folly on my part. That's bad teacher. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Wyrd and Orlog. Just those specific points, okay? Now I know I have talked about Wyrd and Orlog in a number of settings before. I know that I use them as a basis for a number of my videos. But I did have a newbie ask me to actually do a sit-down dedicated video on Wyrd and Orlog. And I'd always meant to do that. I just guess never got around to it. So here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about this today. Okay, guys? This is quite possibly the most complicated yet simple concept within heathenry. It's a very complicated concept because it's so abstract. Everything else in heathenry is very concrete. It's very pragmatic. It's very cut and dry. We are our deeds. We honor the gods and goddesses, the ancestors, the Vatir, and our folk. These things are easily measured and easily codified. At least we think they are. It's easy for us to explain them in those terms, to assign labels that make them seem easily codified, even though they are in and of themselves abstracts that sometimes defy boundaries, like putting labels on the gods, all right? The gods are so far beyond our perceptive capabilities that we couldn't even perceive their limitations if we were aware of them. So we slap on labels that our minds need to be able to understand what we're dealing with. And Wyrd is one of those that's not easily codified, not easily personified in a metaphor. We love our metaphors. I love my metaphors, especially doing the poetry thing, because poets live and breathe metaphors. They're so helpful in relaying gentle nuances that maybe you have a harder time being specific about without sounding clinical. Metaphors are beautiful things. And so Wyrd is one that goes in a couple of different directions. Wyrd and Orlog are tied together, all right? And here I'm going to try to explain. Wyrd is essentially the energies tied to the actions of the here and now. and your place in that. If Orlog is everything that has led up to the here and now, tied to you. Oh, this is complicated. All right. Wyrd is everything that occurs in the here and now. It is the realm of Verdandi. That is the actions, the deeds, the energies of this moment. Not 10 minutes ago, not 10 minutes from now. The future is the realm of Skuld. The past is the realm of Wyrd. Now, this is why it's so hard. The metaphors are difficult because there's two separate metaphors that work in relation to Wyrd and Orlog. And there's actually like several different metaphors that work for Wyrd and Orlog. Our actions, everything that we do right now, if you think about a wellspring, like a pond, all right? The surface level of water, the barrier between the overworld and the underworld, that thin membrane, that is Wyrd. That's where we are now. That's where everything is occurring. Things come from the future, through the now, into the past. Okay? It's actually more complicated than that. Bear with me. I say those kind of disclaimers because there's people out there screaming at the screen. It's not exactly like that. It's more complicated. I know it's more complicated than that. I'm trying to boil it down here a bit and trying to build this metaphor. So, if it is a pond, if we're looking at a well, you're looking at deeds from the here and now going into the well and sinking into history. Everything that makes this surface what it is all of the water that's below it. It's all part and parcel. It's all together. It's all mixed together. But without it, there is no surface level of the water. Okay? That's Orlog. Orlog is the primal layer, the first layer. In the layering and everything, it is the bottom, it's the base, it's the support structure. Orlog is everything that comes before, upon which we build the here and now. And so that's our surface of the water. If you look at the tapestry version of Wyrd, the pattern of our lives, all the strands and everything in the web of Wyrd that comes together to form the great picture that is our lives and our story, the here and now, if you're let's use modern technology. If you're going through and you're scrubbing through a video, right, and you got the little indicator that shows you the here and now, all of the red that came before it, that is Orlog. This little indicator is Wyrd. Everything that goes through this indicator and becomes reality becomes Orlog. Okay? It is not Orlog until that bar turns red, or whatever color, blue, whatever your player uses. Before that, everything in front of it is potential. It could be. Wyrd is the act of becoming reality, and then Orlog is everything that came before that. It passes through this, but its course is set by Orlog. Everything we build upon Orlog. I heard somebody once on one of the Facebook groups, and I can't remember his name because I would love to give him credit. Had this wonderful rendition of Wyrd, wherein it's stacking books in sand. And I'm sure somebody's going to jump in the comments down here, so make sure you look and see, because it's a well-known metaphor that he used, wherein your Wyrd is the book that you're writing right now, and you stack it onto the stack that is Orlog. You have a stack of Orlog that's a stack of books in sand, right? Good, strong Orlog allows you to have a firm tower of books upon which to build, and it slowly sinks into the sand. You may not be able to see what's back down there in the depths of the sand, but it's still there. It doesn't make it any less there. It's just lost to history, lost to antiquity. But at least the stack you can see is stable. It is strong. If you have a messy, mismatched pile of books, which is each person's individual story, and you are putting yours chapter by chapter onto this stack, if it's slovenly and haphazard, then it's unstable and it is not a strong point to build a firm future on. Things tumble, things topple. And so that's a metaphor as well. It's the books going down, the pattern of the web, all of the tapestry. If you are on a loom weaving a tapestry, that is the web of Wyrd, wherever that shutter is going back and forth, that is the here and now. That is Wyrd becoming reality. Okay? Orlog is everything that came before it, the finished tapestry that you can look back on and see. The design in your head where it could be and what you plan to do with it, that's Skuld, that's the future. Okay? And I'm using these as terms of like tenses. Watch my Norn video and you will understand that I actually see the Norns themselves, Urd, Vertandi, and Skuld, as Disir, not as just tenses of time, but I'm using them as to say that's Urd and that's Vertandi and that's Skuld. That is their domain, all right? That is Urd is over Orlog, and Vertandi is over Wyrd, and Skuld is over what could be or what should be. So, based on projections and things like that. Now, every action we take, every conscious decision we make, every energy we put out goes into the well, goes into the tapestry, becomes part of Wyrd. All right? And it cannot be undone. Whatever we do becomes reality. All right? You cannot go back and redo it. You can't, once something is recorded down, you can't go back and change the recording. And you can chop and all that stuff. It's a bad example. You can go back and change all kinds of stuff on videos. I do it all the time. What you're doing is applying new actions, though, to reframe and reinterpret old, what has occurred before. Let's take, for example, let's take this example. You are in a crowded daycare, all right? And all of your upbringing, all of your understanding on the social norms, everything like that, that's led you to the here and now. This is your Orlog, okay? To give an example of Wyrd becoming Orlog, kid comes up and drops a briefcase, daddy's briefcase, that he had run over and grabbed from the table. Only daddy carries a lot of heavy books and stuff in it, so the kid's like, oops, drops it, breaks your big toe. The Wyrd of the here and now is that you are in a crowded daycare. The action you are undertaking is the F-bomb that is now leaving your mouth. And the moment it leaves your mouth, you cannot put it back. You can try and reframe. You can try to apologize. You cannot put it back. It has become Orlog. Because from that point on, every parent in that room is going to look at you and know you as the F-bomb dropper in the daycare. Every time you step into the daycare, you are going to know in the back of your head that you dropped an F-bomb here. Everything that came before you, all of your upbringing, your teaching, the social contract, interaction with other individuals before, is what told you that's wrong and set the value of that action. You have shown yourself to be somebody that can be trusted because you come in and you're always appropriate in the daycare and this, that, and the other. So you have a good reputation, based on Orlog, of coming into the daycare and being appropriate, being responsible, being the good parent kind of thing. One F-bomb can mess up a whole bunch of that. If they've got 10 years of knowing you that, you've never done this before and you have one slip up, okay, that's a long line of strong Orlog that can absorb one incident, okay? If you don't have that kind of Orlog built up, that kind of relationship, the Gefrain, set into Orlog through action and deed, and if you've only been coming to this daycare for 6 months and you drop the F-bomb, wow, that's going to damage your Wyrd. that Wyrd, that action in the moment, being recorded into Orlog is going to damage your luck, your Gefrain with everyone else, okay? All of these actions, all these deeds set the store of spiritual energy that you have, the trust that other people place into you, the confidence and capabilities and skill sets that you have, and this constitutes your luck. Luck with a capital L in the heathen tense, okay? I can do an entire video on luck in and of itself, and I may someday, but in essence, everything that you can bring to bear on a situation is your luck. That's why it's such a hard concept to codify and explain, everything you can bring to bear on this situation is your luck, all right? It is not just happenstance, but if you've watched the Storm Riders video on my Weaving Words section, which I haven't done anything on in a while, but anyway, you'll see that, we were in a tornado and everything, and then I had a lot of people through strong gift frame, strong relationships, and shared respect with one another. These people came to my aid because they were part of my luck, my strong luck. The skill sets that I have built through action and deed, study, dedication, all of this build my store of luck. The luck is how likely you are able to handle a situation or to complete a task when it comes to bear. It is your might, it is your main, it is your social network behind you. It is all of these things, and it is your odds of success. If I had to boil it down to anything, it is your odds of success. Okay? If you've got a long line of family with good strong Orlog, okay? Everything that came before you, your ancestors made smart decisions, and you are in a position where you are building on what they built, you have strong luck because you have Orlog that sets and establishes this strong luck. Your family line has made good financial decisions, good real estate decisions, everything. And so here you are with all of this. The odds are pretty good you're going to be successful unless you royally mess it up. Okay? Let's take a look at, for an example of this, family line. Okay? You're going to look at wealth established through family line. You're going to look at skill sets and available relationships, all of this, all the luck that's built in a family line and dropped in this trust fund baby's lap. Okay? This trust fund baby has got one job. Don't mess it up. As long as that baby goes through and does nothing to sully the family name, he doesn't, do anything to damage the reputation of the business or anything like that, then all of this stays intact. He's got this money to draw from. He's got the family to draw from. He's got the social connections, the power, all of this. This is his luck. This is his luck. Very much so. All of this pulled together. Because of all of this and the here and now, he's got pretty good odds at being successful. As long as he doesn't squander this luck and waste it. As long as he does things that help to build this. More good financial decisions. More good hard work and dedication. That builds on the luck. Bad things like buying yachts that he doesn't need and then blowing them up in the harbor. Blowing it on drugs and alcohol. These are bad things that diminish the luck. They damage the reputation of the family, which then affects other individuals tied to the family and their willingness to help the family. It becomes a weight that the family is no longer able to support until finally they cut the trust fund baby off because he's too much of a drain on the family luck. So he's cast out. He's cut off. That's what happens when you are too much of a negative influence on the luck and Wyrd of the tribe of your family. You get cut off because you're draining too much. You're taking too much from the till. You've got to give your part back, and if you don't, then you become just a drain, and that's when the Fylgja cuts you out. Now, in relation to luck with Wyrd and Orlog, the family line, the store of luck is the trust fund, right? The Fylgja is the lawyer who's in charge of, or the accountant who's in charge of monitoring and doling out this trust fund. It's their job to deal out the trust fund. The Fylgja is that spiritual trust fund administrator. They go and share, they judge your actions, and based on your actions, report back to your ancestors through the Norns, whether or not you deserve the luck that the family has to bring to bear. And they also carry back your deeds that help to build the luck store. If you're going to be kicking stuff back into the family account, then they'll take it and go deposit it. Similarly, they're going to grab your cut, and this is your cut, and they'll keep it going. But when you don't pay back in, and when you start to damage the family reputation, when you're out there buying prostitutes and hookers and all this other stuff, they cut you off. And so you get cut off from the family luck. You get cut off from the trust fund. Okay? That's one of the things that bothers me a lot of times about privilege in general. What is misnamed as privilege in many instances is actually an individual's luck, and you are being begrudging of that individual's stored luck. Yeah, they didn't have to do anything to earn it because their ancestors did. They worked hard, dedicated, and here you go. The frustrating point is not that they have the good luck, it's that they either abuse it or are squandering it or not paying back in. It's the individuals that are bad representations on those families that are squandering and damaging the Gefrain and Wyrd and all of that through their actions. And that's natural. And of course, you're going to resent those individuals. That's the cause and effect of their actions. They've got that coming. If you've got some old school like Rockefeller type money, and the family's kept quiet but has kept tons of money, and they're successful, and generations are taken care of for the rest of time as long as each generation does what they're supposed to do. And this one punk kid comes through and starts, making a scene, bad business decisions, is like super celebrity stuff, and then is damaging the family name, then cause and effect, the damage. Suddenly the viewing populace looks at him like an idiot, and you end up with kind of like a Paris Hilton kind of thing, where it was a mixed bag. But if you've been on the internet for any length of time, you understand. She did some stuff that damaged the Gefrain of the family, the reputation of the family in general, and ultimately some of the luck. But she was able to spin that in such a way as to kind of do some damage control. And while she's not what she could have been sans that incident, she's something else entirely now. It's all about actions. It's all about deeds. So Orlog is everything that has come before, those actions that have led up to where we are now. It is the building blocks upon which you exist in this moment. Orlog is the actions of your ancestors and anyone who is responsible in some way, shape, form, or fashion for you being where you are. Okay? And part of the issue I see with Orlog is that people don't necessarily take into account the scope of Orlog. Individuals play heavier roles in your Orlog than others may, but there's a societal play-in too, because we don't exist in a vacuum. Yes, a great deal of my Orlog has been set by my grandfathers, and by their fathers, and by their fathers, my grandmothers, and their mothers, and their mothers, because all of their decisions directly lead to my being here. But my Orlog is still impacted by the deeds and actions of, say, George Washington, because of what was his role in the establishment of America, the U.S., where I live, and every president thereafter. It is impacted by the law enforcement in the areas. It's impacted by the lawmakers in the areas. It's impacted by the neighbors in the areas where my family grew up. It's impacted by their friends, their Innengath, their close individuals that would be friends of family whom I may never know because their names, like my 15th great-grandfather may have had a dear friend who saved his life somewhere along the way, and if it weren't for that individual, I would not be here today. I don't know this individual's name because it was never recorded at the time, because I just made this story up too, but if that were the case, he's still a part of my Orlog, and a fairly strong one at that. And so, that has an impact on who I am and where I am today. The society that I have to interact with and the decisions that I make on a day-to-day basis that then get recorded into Orlog are all based on the societal norms and everything in which I have to interact on a daily basis. And therefore, these lawmakers then become part of my Orlog as well, through my having to interact with and being impacted by their decisions. So that's Orlog is all of the factors that come before and lead up to the here and now. Certain things are more diluted than others in the grand well because they're minor. There's like 14 degrees of separation instead of 6 degrees kind of thing. Some things are very, very strong and very, very impactful. The bigger and stronger the impact, the more impact it has on your luck. Your Wyrd is the actions, your conscious decision actions in the here, in the now, that get recorded into Orlog, into the well, into the histories and, Schuld, the possibility of future. You notice I keep going to Schuld for that because there's not really a term for it. If you look linguistically, there was the here and now was pretty much the tense that they spoke in back in the day. It was the here and the now and the what has come before, but there wasn't a whole lot of tense for future tense because that's not what a focus was linguistically for arch-heathens at the time. Their focus was on the here and now and how it has been built upon, where we've come from and where we are. Where we're going is uncertain and ephemeral. So that's why I keep going to Schuld for that, is because I have Orlog and I have Wyrd, but I don't have necessarily the ephemeral, hasn't become real yet. That is the domain of Schuld. Okay? Wyrd is the action of becoming real. It is the formalization of the pattern, the solidification of the ephemeral into something real before it becomes history. Okay, it is the here and now. It is all of the actions, all of the energies that swirl around you that are your pattern in this moment. Okay, it both exists and doesn't exist all at the same time because it's that quantum state of you can't pinpoint it because it's here and now, and it is everything that ties to your energy waves in the moment. To get real woo-woo on stuff, the energies that constitute you and the energies that directly impact you, that you have willful kind of control over or interaction with, this constitutes your Wyrd. Okay? When we talk about divination, when we talk about reading the runes or tarot, things like that, what you are doing is kind of putting sticks in the water and seeing which way the current is flowing. You are reading the pattern of Wyrd in the here and now, and the current leading into Orlog, and using that to predict a possible path that cause and effect may lead to as you go on. Okay? Now, it's been really abstract, guys. I know it's all over the place. It's difficult to explain because Wyrd and Orlog are both the most complicated and yet the most simple concepts within heathenry today. And even then, some people are going to look at this video and go, you don't really get it. And I've spent just a half hour on a couple of different metaphors for a concept that I've been studying for 20 years now. It's going to be fairly limited in nature on this particular video. There are complexities and nuances, linguistic differences that will take you a lifetime to master, even though it's a fairly simple concept. So, one of the things I'm going to do is revisit some of the Wyrd concepts, some of the Orlog concepts from different levels and in some future videos, and I think that might be interesting to some folks. Hopefully you'll like it. My plan next week is to delve off into a tangent based on Wyrd and Orlog that was kind of born from a conversation I had with a friend of mine. I think it'll be fun. We'll see. Anyway, I know you guys are going to have questions. I know you're going to have comments, and I really hope this became some kind of coherent thing because it's pretty wild, pretty out there, and it's hard for me to boil it all down into a 30-minute video. I could probably talk for hours and still be going on examples of Wyrd and Orlog and how this works and how that works. Luck in and of itself, like I started there before, is an entire video. I could do an entire video on hardship and privilege in their relationship to luck. I could do an entire video on that alone because your hardship where you are now, if you've got parents that made bad, poor decisions, druggies, criminals that never had money, check to check, in and out of the pen, things like that, bad drug histories that then create a cycle, family violence, things like that. Where you are in your store of luck from that is going to be significantly different than the individual who had good upbringings, who has an unbroken line of family making good decisions, homeowners, businessmen and women with good business acumen and care and love for the family, things like that, and you don't have these negative influences tainting the luck of the Wyrd as it becomes Orlog, and then thusly poisoning the well. You've got two very, very different starting points. Both are inheriting Orlog, and One is inheriting weak Orlog that has been poisoned by ill actions. The other is inheriting strong Orlog that is built upon generations of good deeds. And it's that in that moment you can see the disparity and how that plays out. So that which we call privileged and that which we call hardship for anything. I don't know. It's hard to pick a term there that's not just wildly offensive. But in that position of hardship, when you're born into hardship versus when you're born into privilege, and it doesn't say anything about the worth of the individual in those instances. That's simply saying this is your starting point. Because I know horrible people born into privilege. I know wonderful people born into hardship. I know horrible people born into hardship and wonderful people born into privilege. That is their Orlog. Who they are, their worth is set by their Wyrd, their actions. Okay? Orlog is given to you. There's nothing you can do about it. You cannot change it. You cannot alter it. You cannot, this is the book you were given at birth. That is the history of everything that is you. The new stuff that you put into it, that's your Wyrd. That's your actions. Everything that's come before and the chapters that have been written down and recorded, you can't change that. It is what it is. So keep this in mind as you go forward. That's the thing when it comes to those two, is that it's what they do with it. It's not what you inherit. It's what you do with it that sets your worth. Okay? It's why we are our deeds is such an important thing. Orlog decides where you come from. It decides the things that you have to deal with. But your Wyrd, your actions decide what you do with it and where you go from there with it. Okay? In the next video, I'm going to try and delve into that a little bit more in a specific instance. I hope. We'll see. So, thank you guys. I hope this made some sense. I hope you enjoyed it and appreciated it. And we'll see you guys next week. Hail. Thank you. May your ancestors smile on you. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do videos. And then I come back and I go, work. And then I look down at the clock and I go, man, it takes a lot longer to film one of these than it actually takes to actually watch it. You guys see these things in like 20, 30 minutes. And it may take me an hour to film a video, not to mention, whatever editing time I got to go into on it. It's crazy. And I'm not bitching about it. I'm just letting you guys know. It's a time commitment. It's kind of crazy. So, yeah. I enjoy it, though. I love it. Love it. It's fantastic. So anyway, we're jumping into Wyrd and Orlog. Okay. That's right. All right. This one's a viewer request, so hopefully I can turn it into something and it makes some semblance of sense. I'm always worried about that when I go in and do these stupid things. It's like, I'm going to do this video and I'm going to talk, and hopefully by the time I reach the other end of it, I've made my point. I have some bullet points occasionally. Sometimes I even go in with notes, but for the most part, my style is that I just start talking and hope that I've made my point by the other end. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So here we go. All right. Wyrd and Orlog. In 3, 2, 1. Let's jam. The in process, in motion. Vertandi is the realm of Wyrd. Urd, that which has come before. Pause. Overhead. Now I got to see about trying to come back. All right. All right. Trying to boil it down. Anyway. Okay. I'm trying to. Oh, sorry. 4, 3, 2.